Story 1. At one point, I was living for the Word Girl series. My life's goal was to watch all of the episodes. That was it. The one thing keeping me alive. A kid's show that I should have grown out of years ago. There is never a bad reason to live, never a stupid one. Any reason to live is a good one, especially if it's all you can think of at the moment. Edit. First ever silver. Thank you, kind stranger, and thank you all for the positive responses and remarks. I'm glad you all are still here. Edit 2. Oh my God, you guys are the best. Thank you all. Story 2. Honestly, I just want to ride it out and see what happens. We humans are so entertaining. One minute we're blowing each other up, the next we have pet rocks or something. Story 3. Floating in a large body of water with no distractions. Also, did you know that if you float on your back in a hot tub with all the jets on, you'll spin in a lazy little circle? I did not know that, and it's pretty fun. It's also quite relaxing. If you're careful, you can do it while reading a book. If you haven't had a chance to try that yet, you should hang on at least until you do. It's pretty rad. Story 4. Because if you die, it cannot get better. Right now, I am a shaking, emotional mess because I hit rock bottom last night. I am still here because I know from experience that as long as I do not give up, my life has the chance to get better. Hopefully it will, but the only way I will see is by sticking around. Story 5. I have written this out elsewhere, but since everything I want to say has stayed the same, I'll just copy it here. I had a couple of major realizations. Self-talk. I was intensely, harshly critical of myself. One day, I realized that I would never talk to another person like that, so why should I talk to myself that way? I made the decision to treat myself as though I was a friend who had the same issues. I would treat myself kindly with compassion and allow myself to be imperfect, even very imperfect. This is very important. I decided to make a point of noticing what I did right and well, in the same way I'd focused exclusively on what I did wrong before. It's important, especially for someone in or coming out of depression, to see and admit to themselves that, yes, they do things right too. It doesn't matter how tiny or inconsequential the action is. Did you brush your teeth today? Nice, you brushed your teeth today. Fair warning. This change in behavior will likely feel fake at first, and will continue feeling fake for a long time. It's normal for a behavior pattern you aren't in the habit of to feel fake, but that doesn't mean it is fake. It's just an unfamiliar pattern. As the pattern becomes familiar, the feeling of fakeness will fade. The other thing was that I realized when you are depressed, you naturally tend to focus on what's bad and wrong in life. You don't even notice the good stuff, even though it's still there. If you go long enough noticing only bad things while being oblivious to the good, it can legitimately get to a point where it really genuinely feels to you like only bad things exist for you and that good stuff doesn't even exist at all. Therefore, I made a deliberate point of noticing what's right and good in life. There's a roof over my head tonight and I have a warm, dry, comfortable bed to sleep in. I have my health. I can have pretty much anything I want for dinner. I am incredibly lucky to live in that incredibly tiny fraction of all of human history that the internet exists. It's a lovely day out today. I lost a couple more pounds. I really do have exceptionally awesome landlords. I was really kind to that person. I got the dishes done today. Fair warning. This is another thing that's going to feel fake for a long time until you get into the habit of it. Expect it. It's normal and fine. I pushed through the fake feeling and it made a life-changing difference for me. One more thing. Let it be genuinely okay for yourself to make mistakes. Old habits and thought patterns can have a lot of inertia to them. Depressed people are still people and people are just human beings, which means they will make mistakes. If you can let it be genuinely okay to be a human being who makes mistakes just like anyone else does, don't beat up on yourself for making them, just shrug, let it roll off your back and carry on. You will have a much easier time of all of this on those days you find old habits creeping back again. Also, after you've gotten a bit out of depression, check out this excellent post about non-zero days. If you are deep in depression right now, this might be too much just yet, and it's honestly okay if it is. One step at a time. Just focus on noticing the things you do right for now, on the positives around you. Story 6. The smell of fresh rain, the smell of flowers, being able to cuddle your pet, the taste of your favorite food, being able to finish watching your favorite television shows. Story 7. I read this on a similar AskReddit. We're all lights in the darkness for one another. When one light goes out, it makes it that much more dark for the rest of us. The human eye can see a single candle from 4 miles away. You never know when your light is the only light someone can see. Story 8. Simple. I'm not done here, and I guess I'm not allowed to die until I am. I've tried to kill myself. Drove my car off a forest ravine at 95 miles per hour, went right through the trees for about 50 feet, then landed on the road on the other side of the S-bend. The car had a small dent in the front bumper and a half-inch chip missing, both from the winding road sign I took out right before the ravine, but not a scratch otherwise. I went back to look, and there was no gap between the trees big enough for a car. Years later, I tried to blow my brains out with a shotgun. Pulled the trigger, nothing happened. Sat there for about 10 seconds, then took the barrel away from under my chin, and the exact second it was clear, it went off, jumping out of my hands and missing me by a few degrees. So yeah, I don't know what I believe in, but if there is a God, I guess he wants me to stay on Earth for a while longer, presumably because I'm supposed to help someone. I figure I'll just help as many people as I can until I hit my quota, or whatever, and eventually get to die. Story 9. I don't have reasons to live. I only have reasons not to die. Despite how similar those sound, they are different, and most people who are content with their lives won't be able to make the distinction. Edit. Jesus. I posted this before passing out and woke up to like 100 replies. I'm sure you all have better things to do than give my depressed, edgy comment gold. Story 10. I just do not see a future for me. It is impossible for me to imagine a possible future. I am just lost and do not want to feel sad all the time anymore. Story 11. Knowing that you are somehow and in some way a part of someone's day and routine, and if you disappeared, their life would be missing something. That you never know what will happen tomorrow, and it just might be something good. If you have a pet, no one could possibly love and bond with them like you could. And that living would spite everyone who wanted you not to. Story 12. Sunshine and wind. Sometimes in the deepest pits of my depression, and when I'm ready to end it, I'll go for a walk and the sun is just so damn beautiful and warm that I stay alive just so I can keep seeing it. Story 13. It sounds completely self-centered. I know, but I spent almost my whole life sticking around because other people needed me. And don't get me wrong, that's also a very valid reason. But that's a lot of responsibility on them. After my suicide attempt almost 10 years ago, I swore I'd never put my mom through that again. She was my whole world. She needed me and I needed her. And when she got sick, we needed each other more than ever. In her last few months, my sister and I were her caregivers, so she was completely dependent on us. My world stopped. I dropped out of college and I barely socialized. I had no life outside of looking after my terminally ill mother. Now, if I had the chance, I'd do it the exact same way all over again. I don't regret it. But once she died, all I could think was, what now? I pushed it all on my sister. We only had each other. And when things got tough, I told myself I couldn't leave her, and she needed me. Again, all very valid and true. But I was miserable. Living felt like a chore, a responsibility I'd been forced into. So I got myself into gear. Went to therapy, started going to the gym, did some online courses, got into a relationship with a wonderful person. Soon I'm hoping to quit my job because I can't stand it, but I need the security of a new one first. In September, I'm finally going back to college and doing my last year. Going to get that degree. I'm living for myself now because I deserve to. There are so many places I want to go and so much I want to do. Sure, one day I plan on having kids, and then they will become my world and my number one. But right now, I'm 24, and it's time for me to be a little bit selfish. Story 14. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and autism, and I have constant anxiety and intermittent depression. I have experienced being suicidal often in my life, but I don't think I'm in danger of dying. Good reasons for me not to die. Asterisk my husband. He is a terrific emotional support and an all-around great human being, and I just want to be around him. He likes me a lot, and I wouldn't ever want to hurt him by just up and dying for no reason, let alone doing it on purpose. Even at my most depressed, I would never imagine doing that to him. The concept of his pain is so enormously painful to think of that it's like an object too hot for me to touch. Now, asterisk my cats. Asterisk my coworkers who struggle with mental health as well. My industry took it hard when Anthony Bourdain killed himself. My coworkers are all speaking up about how awful we all feel, and we're actually supporting each other. Asterisk my friends who struggle with mental health as well. Same as above. Asterisk people on the internet that I provide emotional support for, because if I kill myself, I can't be the voice of reason and understanding for everyone else that feels this way. Every person that kills themselves is eliminating an opportunity to increase understanding of mental illness and human neurodiversity. Every person that kills themselves is giving suicide an advantage in the fight against humanity. Asterisk because other people with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and autism need people to speak up for them. We are collectively not very good at articulating. Asterisk because other people with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and autism that don't know they even are and that it's why they're suicidal in the first place. Hey, hi, I see you. Help is coming. Just hang in there. Asterisk because I'm not dying without fixing this, and that is a threat. Story 15. I like to gather stories. Even the worst things that happen to me create stories and experience. I've been homeless, in jail, seen a lot of death, and more. I've been able to help others because of that. So even when I'm not feeling good about my life, I know that my worst moments have allowed me to help others through theirs. Being comfortable doesn't create stories. This is only a recent realization for me at 33 years old. When I'm not happy with my life, I try to do something unfamiliar. I've recently discovered that I love the outdoors. All my life I've been the stay-at-home kind of person, perfectly happy to just play some video games or watch a movie. I started getting into a funk that I didn't know how to get out of, but I continued to do the same thing every day. Working 7 days a week, playing video games 2 hours a day, sleeping and repeating. I took some time off work to try and get out of the gloomy feeling that I had. But I was still doing the same thing on vacation minus the work, and it wasn't helping. So work wasn't the problem. I decided with my last few days of vacation to get a hotel room about an hour outside of a national park, 4 hours from home. I canceled the reservation because it was easier to just say, never mind, I just want to relax. The next day, I woke up and said, forget it, let's just go, and made the hotel reservation again. The trip ended up changing my entire perspective. I want to do nothing but hike now. I want to get in better shape so I can do longer hikes. I want to buy a truck. I'm spending my free time looking for new places to explore. I'm looking into camping. Seeing the stars in the wilderness has me wanting to get a telescope and look into astrophotography. All this new stuff happened because, for once, I decided to listen to the little voice in my head telling me to try something new. I live for new experiences. The more new experiences that I have, the more I want to live. Not just exist, but to do stuff. No matter how long I've done one thing, a new hobby or passion is just around the corner. You never know until you put yourself out of your comfort zone. I spent years, decades, doing what I thought made me happy, but I was never happy. A more enjoyable life was one last-minute decision away for me. One moment of following through with an idea that I had. I could have easily just slept in again instead of changing my mind to take the trip. If the trip ended up being bad, would that have really been worse than another year of continuing the same routine? It would be a story regardless. Even if I don't want to tell a story, seeking a story usually leads me somewhere interesting. It doesn't have to be big life changes or trips. Always watch horror movies. Try some comedies. Looking at a giant library of games but feel you have nothing to play? You probably don't really want to play a game. Grab a book, take a walk. Trying something different is what keeps life interesting enough to continue for me. Easy and comfortable isn't fun or interesting. Story 16, Spite. Edit. My first silver. Thank you, kind stranger. Edit 2. Jesus. I was not expecting this to blow up from a semi-sarcastic, semi-serious answer. Thanks for the gold. Edit 3. Thank you for the platinum. Yes, yes, awards speech edits. Out of spite, I will thank them anyway. Story 17. As Superman said, All I know is that we have to try. That's what life is. We try. We push back against the darkness. Just a little. Nearly every problem someone has is a temporary problem. Death is a very permanent solution to a series of temporary problems. Story 18. Space is fascinating. Imagine all the amazing things you will miss if you die today. Who knows how far we will get with space technology in the future? You might be able to see whole galaxies in the sky or view the moon closer than ever before. You might even have the opportunity to look up at the sky in the wilderness and see the same stars your ancestors saw, the same stars Van Gogh and Galileo saw. Life is so simple, yet so complicated at the same time. Take everything one moment at a time, and I can assure you that you will find your way to contentment.